I played myself and now he's gone. Petty revenge. The fluorescent lights of Thompson Davies buzzed overhead, a soundtrack to the quiet simmer of my resentment. Mark Henderson, my ex, was currently holding court in Mr. Thompson's office, probably regaling him with some fabricated tale of legal brilliance. Meanwhile, I was drowning in discovery documents for the Miller case, a personal injury claim that was rapidly turning into a logistical nightmare thanks to Mark's initial handling of it. I was Amelia Hayes, paralegal extraordinaire, and I was without a doubt being played. It wasn't always like this. A year ago, Mark and I were a team. We met at the firm, sparks flying amidst case files and legal jargon. I was drawn to his charisma, his easy charm that clients seemed to adore. He, in turn, seemed to appreciate my meticulous nature, my ability to transform his messy ideas into coherent legal arguments. I thought we were building something. I was wrong. About 6 months into our relationship, Sarah, another paralegal, let it slip at a happy hour. She'd seen Mark downtown with some other woman looking cozy. I confronted him, of course. Gaslighting ensued. Just a mistake, he'd said, that infuriatingly disarming smile plastered on his face. Nothing happened, Amelia. You're overreacting. But the seed of doubt was planted. I started paying closer attention. The late nights working, the hushed phone calls he'd take outside. It all added up. The final blow came when I found a lipstick stain, not mine, on his shirt collar. The breakup was messy, brutal. He tried to apologize, to minimize, to convince me I was being unreasonable. But I was done. The real problem started after. Mark, bless his oblivious heart, continued to act like nothing had changed. He still expected me to cover for him at work, to clean up his messes. And Mr. Thompson, completely blinded by Mark's charm, kept showering him with praise and opportunities, oblivious to the fact that I was the one actually doing the work. He got the Miller case, a big one, and predictably he was floundering. I sat at my desk, the mountain of documents mocking me. The Miller case was a mess. Mark had missed deadlines, ignored crucial witness statements, and generally created a chaotic situation that was now threatening the firm's reputation. I could hear his boisterous laughter echoing from Mr. Thompson's office. Brenda, the firm's long-suffering secretary, shuffled over, a knowing look on her face. "He's really laying it on thick, isn't he?" she said, her voice low. "Mr. Thompson's practically eating out of his hand." I sighed. "It's infuriating, Brenda. He's going to ruin this case." Brenda patted my hand. "You're too good for him, Amelia, always have been. Don't let him bring you down." Easy for her to say. She wasn't the one who had to fix his mistakes. But she was right, I needed to focus. That night I stayed late, sifting through the Miller case files. I found it. Buried deep within a pile of unprocessed documents, a crucial witness statement, a witness who corroborated the client's story and directly contradicted the defendant's claims. Mark had simply overlooked it, or more likely, he hadn't bothered to read it in the first place. My stomach churned. This wasn't just about Mark being a jerk anymore. This was about a client, a real person who deserved justice. And Mark was actively jeopardizing that. That's when the seed of an idea began to sprout. A slow, simmering rage started to replace the initial heartbreak. It wasn't just about getting even with Mark, it was about protecting the firm, protecting the client, and yes, maybe proving once, and for all that I was the better lawyer even without the law degree. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of careful planning. I couldn't directly expose Mark's incompetence. That would look petty, vindictive. I needed to be subtle, strategic. I started by accidentally misplacing some of Mark's files, nothing crucial, just enough to throw him off balance. I rescheduled a few of his meetings, conveniently forgetting to notify him until the last minute. Small acts of sabotage, but they chipped away at his carefully constructed image. Then, I started feeding him misleading information. Little things, like the wrong contact information for a witness, or a slightly inaccurate legal precedent. He, of course, never bothered to double-check, blindly trusting the information I provided. It was exhilarating, terrifying, and strangely satisfying. I also started documenting everything. Every mistake Mark made, every deadline he missed, every instance of negligence. I created a detailed record, meticulously organized and cross-referenced. I knew I might need it someday. One afternoon, I was in the records room, ostensibly looking for a document for another case, when I overheard a conversation between Mark and Mr. Thompson. "Henderson, you're doing a fantastic job on the Miller case," Mr. Thompson was saying, his voice booming. "I have high hopes for you, son. You've got the makings of a great lawyer." I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. I wanted to scream. "Thank you, sir," Mark replied, his voice dripping with false modesty. I'm just trying to do my best for the firm. I slipped away, my heart pounding. That was it. I couldn't let this continue. The hearing was set for the following month. It was a crucial hearing, one that could make or break the Miller case. I knew Mark was completely unprepared. The day before the hearing, I stayed late again. I knew Mark kept a copy of the key documents on his computer, a habit I had encouraged because it allowed me to fix issues at night while he was out partying. I accessed his computer and made a small, almost imperceptible change to the key exhibit. A date, slightly altered, just enough to create confusion, to raise doubt. The next morning, the courtroom was packed. Mr. Thompson was there, sitting beside Mark, beaming with pride. I sat in the back, my heart pounding, pretending to take notes. The hearing began. The opposing counsel, a seasoned litigator named MS. Davies, no relation to the firm, thank goodness, immediately went on the offensive. She grilled Mark relentlessly, exposing his lack of preparation and his shallow understanding of the case. Mark floundered. He stumbled over his words, contradicted himself, and generally made a fool of himself. Mr. Thompson's smile slowly faded. Then MS Davies brought up the altered exhibit. Mr. Henderson, she said, her voice sharp, can you explain this discrepancy? According to this document, the accident occurred on July 15th. But in your previous filings, you stated that it occurred on July 16th. Which is it? Mark panicked. He stammered, tried to explain, but only dug himself deeper. He looked over at Mr. Thompson, desperation in his eyes. Mr. Thompson's face was grim. That's when I made my move. I stood up, my voice clear and steady. Your Honor, I said, if I may. All eyes turned to me. I'm Amelia Hayes, a paralegal at Thompson Davies, I continued. There seems to be some confusion regarding the dates. Perhaps if Mr. Henderson consulted the original witness statement, he would be able to clarify the matter. I knew exactly what I was doing. I was subtly pointing out Mark's negligence, reminding the court and Mr. Thompson that he had overlooked a crucial piece of evidence. Mark's face went white. He knew he was trapped. MS. Davies seized the opportunity. She pressed Mark further, demanding to know why he hadn't reviewed the witness statement. He tried to deflect, to blame others, but it was no use. The damage was done. The hearing was adjourned. As everyone filed out of the courtroom, I saw Mr. Thompson pull Mark aside, his face a mask of disappointment. I walked away, a strange mix of relief and anxiety washing over me. The next few days were a blur. Rumors swirled around the office. The Miller case was in jeopardy. Mr. Thompson was furious. An internal investigation was launched. I was questioned, of course. I told the truth, but I carefully omitted any mention of my own involvement in the sabotage. I simply stated that I had noticed the discrepancy in the exhibit and had brought it to the court's attention. Mark, predictably, tried to blame me. He accused me of sabotaging him, of deliberately undermining his efforts. But no one believed him. He had lost all credibility. A week later, I received a call from Brenda. He's gone, Amelia, she said, her voice triumphant. They fired him. I felt a surge of satisfaction. I had done it. I had exposed Mark's incompetence and saved the firm from further embarrassment. But the victory felt hollow. That afternoon, Mr. Thompson summoned me to his office. He sat behind his massive desk, his expression unreadable. Hayes, he said, his voice low, I know you're a smart woman, a very smart woman. I didn't say anything. I also know that you and Henderson had a history, he continued. And I'm not blind, Hayes. I know you might have had something to do with what happened. My heart pounded. I braced myself for the worst. But he said, his eyes narrowing, Henderson was a liability. He wasn't pulling his weight, and he almost cost us a major client. He paused, studying my face. So I'm going to let this go, Hayes, he said finally. But I want you to understand something. Loyalty is paramount. Discretion is essential. And never, ever, let personal feelings interfere with your professional responsibilities. He stood up, signaling that the meeting was over. Is that understood? He asked. Yes, sir, I replied, my voice barely a whisper. I walked out of his office, my legs trembling. I had gotten away with it, but at what cost? Brenda was waiting for me at my desk, a conspiratorial smile on her face. Well done, Amelia, she said, her voice low. You showed him. I managed a weak smile. I don't know, Brenda. I said, I don't feel good about this. Don't be silly, she said. He deserved it. And you did what was best for the firm. Maybe she was right. But as I sat at my desk, staring at the mountain of documents still waiting to be processed, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had crossed a line. I had gotten my revenge, but I had also become something I didn't like. A few days later, I received a text message from a number I didn't recognize. You haven't heard the last of me, Amelia. It read, this isn't over. My blood ran cold. I looked around the office, suddenly feeling exposed, vulnerable. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, a constant, menacing reminder that I was not alone. And that maybe, just maybe, I had played myself in the end.